WNBA was totally unprepared for Caitlin Clark. That's unfortunate, but that's what happened in Indianapolis. The day after Caitlin Clark declared for the 2024 WNBA draft, USA Today sports columnist Christine Brennan made a phone call to a top official in the league. "Do you know how big this is?" Brennan asked. That official said Clark's arrival was the biggest thing to happen to the WNBA since Maya Moore came into the league.
What? Wait, what?
Brennan was shocked. Moore, a Hall of Famer, was called the greatest winner in the history of women's basketball by Sports Illustrated in 2017. She was a talented, beloved superstar in the league, and she deserved all the attention. But outside the league, Moore went virtually unnoticed. Clark? She was going to capture the attention of an entire nation. Brennan had been covering Clark and the WNBA for years, and she could see it coming. This official clearly had no idea. That interaction tells you everything about the utter lack of preparation, or even understanding, by the league of what was coming, said Brennan, whose book on her game, Caitlin Clark and the Revolution in Women's Sports, comes out July 8th. And that's unfortunate. But that's what happened. Clark's entrance to pro women's basketball would be nothing like Moore's. Clark would be bigger, more monumental, more earth-shattering and game-changing than anything that had happened in modern-day women's sports. The so-called Clark effect would be monstrous, potent, and it would be real. "How did the WNBA not see this coming?" said Brennan. "One of the reasons for having so badly mismanaged Caitlin Clark's arrival in the WNBA is because did they truly not believe this could happen to the WNBA? Were they so relegated to second-class citizenship by the male-dominated mainstream sports media that they just never believed this would be possible? The league would quickly see that this Clark phenomenon was very possible. The league failed the players. It was May 9th, 2024, in downtown Indianapolis, the first preseason game for the Indiana Fever with Clark debuting as a rookie in the league. As fans descended on Gainbridge Fieldhouse, Clark had traffic backed up on Alabama Street for more than 3 blocks heading south into the parking garage across from the fieldhouse. It was 6 p.m. on a Thursday, and a crew of workers directing cars had their jobs cut out for them. Tony Duncan was used to crowds jamming up the lane. He works on level 1 of the garage for the Pacers and other events, but he had never seen anything like this for a Fever game, and definitely not for a preseason WNBA game. The cars were packed in, maneuvering around orange cones, clamoring to get their vehicles into a parking spot so they could get themselves into a seat. "This is what a Pacers game usually does," Duncan said, "not the Fever. I call it the Caitlin effect." Security staff working at a Delaware Street entrance into the fieldhouse for Clark's first preseason game with the Fever were shocked. There were fans waiting outside 2 hours before the doors opened to pour into the arena, waiting for a preseason WNBA game. In 2023, the year before, the Fever averaged 4,067 fans a game. 14,000 of them tonight, said Beverly Franklin. Now, if they can just have a crowd like this for every game, that would be awesome. Clark said the same thing just a few hours later, after she stuffed the stat sheet as the Fever beat the Atlanta Dream 83-80 in the team's only preseason home game. She said the same thing to the crowd of 14,000, who had roared with every mention of her name during the game and rose to their feet with every shot she took. "You all were amazing. Thanks for coming out for a preseason game," Clark said as she was interviewed on court after racking up 12 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. "I hope you'll keep coming back." Coming back.
They did.
The Clark effect would reverberate throughout the league, an effect that a season and a half later has turned, to put it mildly, complicated. Brennan says it didn't have to be complicated. If only the league had taken some initiative to prepare other players in the WNBA for what was coming with Clark. The league failed the players. Dr. Harry Edwards, an American sociologist and civil rights activist, says in the book. The WNBA not only missed an opportunity to prepare players for this moment, they set the traps along the path that the league was going to travel. Edwards told Brennan the WNBA needed to understand and prepare for the disappointment and anger some Black players, in particular, would be experiencing due to Clark's ballyhooed arrival. "This was predictable," he said. "It's human nature for people not to be happy for you when you're new and successful. especially if it's in an arena where they have toiled all their lives and not come close to the kind of reward or applause that Clark is receiving. Players were woefully unprepared for Clark's arrival. Through the years, before Clark ever laid a hand on a ball on a pro basketball court, the WNBA has stood for equality, often being described, according to Brennan, as a black, gay league. The most recent statistics reveal that 63.8% of WNBA players are black, while 19.1% are white, according to a 2023 report on the WNBA by the Institute for Diversity and Ethics in Sport at the University of Central Florida. While that study didn't include sexual identity, a substantial portion of the league identifies as LGBTQ+, writes Brennan. The league often has been under attack because a third of the players in the WNBA are identified as being part of the LGBTQ+ community, commentator and writer Jemele Hill said at the 2024 Association for Women in Sports Media Conference. And into this world landed Caitlin Clark, a white, straight, 22-year-old woman who had not played a second in the WNBA, Brennan writes, but already was a national phenomenon and about to become the face of the league. Clark is a player who can be a bit of a hothead. She has racked up her own share of technical fouls and is not a player to back down, clapping in the faces of opponents and sometimes having to be calmed down on the bench. She is also a player who has endured an endless surge of rough play and technicals committed against her. As that has played out in the WNBA since Clark arrived, there have been racial undertones that cannot be denied when it comes to the coverage and the treatment Clark has received, Ellen Storowski, a professor of sports media in the Park School of Communications at Ithaca College in New York, told Indy Star in September. Research has shown that Aya Wilson, one of the best WNBA players in history, and she's getting half the coverage of Sabrina Ionescu, said Storowski. There's no doubt and there's no question that there is a racial dynamic in all of this, and that cannot be discounted. There is a very concrete way the league could have prepared players for what was to come, said Edwards, who has counseled players and leagues for decades. The WNBA should have established a series of seminars in the preseason for every team in the league, he says in the book. There are people out there who could have gone in and given those talks to each franchise, says Edwards, experts and specialists from a sports sociological perspective with the understanding and grasp of the situation. Hey friends, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like. Got a question, opinion, or suggestion? Drop a comment below. I read all of them and I often feature interesting ones in my next videos. And most importantly, for more exclusive boxing highlights and celebrity news, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Your support helps us grow and keep bringing you awesome content. See you in the next video. Stay safe and take care.